So, Tab, what is the ideal of introducing yourself in Navajo?
That's pretty interesting to ask because we're actually on that subject. Our lesson for the past month has been on kinship terms,
Mm-hmm.
and our daily objective is posted up there. And we each day they say so they're basically saying that I will speak my language and I will greet my relatives. And the way we did this was by getting everybody's clans, and then the students went through these different steps 1 through 8 on finding who their relatives are, and that way they understand kinship and they understand the importance of what clans are to Navajo people when it comes to especially relationships. So it is important because when you come across an elder, the first thing they'll ask is, what are your clans? And if you're there quick to reply to them, they'll be pretty stoked about it. So it's really important to learn your clans. And from there, not even a few seconds later, they'll already establish that kinship between yourself and then that elder that asked you. And it also connects you back to which community you come from, because some clans, they're piled up with a bunch of Kia'anis I know come out from Lost City. A lot of Hashishnis, the Mud People clan, come out from Two Great Hills. So it's pretty interesting, and it's very, very important to know your clans. Even if it's just your clans that you can say in Navajo, you pretty much have the language built inside you.
Why is the Navajo language important?
For me, I would say that it's to communicate with the surrounding communities. Because I always tell my students, not all of us are going to go off the reservation to work, locally, at a local store, a local school, maybe a chapter house. I go, those are still, work opportunities. And when you go there are going to be a lot of elderly people around. And it's best to know and understand and practice teaching, speaking the language. That way you're able to communicate with them and you're able to understand what they're saying when they do ask questions.
So, Tab, what is a powwow?
A powwow I'm not too familiar with, but I know it comes from up north. And for us as Navajo people, we adopted it into our traditions. So we learn to apply that to our daily lives. And of course, people will have their judgment on it. But for me, I think that's one powwow is one ceremony that brings everybody together, all the different tribes and all the different people that are in this world.
Tab, what is the ideal of dressing up traditionally?
Dressing up traditionally, as I was told, was that it's a way for us, for the holy people to identify us. Okay, so when we dress up traditionally, we're respecting ourselves as being a Navajo individual, and then to also represent our family. And then, like I said, the way the holy people will identify us, even down to the piece of jewelry that we wear. I will always hold that wearing turquoise is a form of protection for yourself, your family, and especially the knowledge that you have in your mind, because that's something that no one can ever take away from you.
What are some traditions?
So the way I understood this question was maybe about what kind of maybe seasonal activities that go on. So it kind of connects to one of the other questions that was on here. And I was thinking that when it was mentioned about traditions, for us Navajo people, we go by the different seasons. So during the winter time, we can only talk about certain things, like we can talk about the stars, the constellations, we can talk about the different coyote stories, we can talk about winter ceremonies, and then when we get back into the spring and summer, we can only talk about, you know, stuff that are happening, ceremonies that are happening at that time, which are like Da and the enemy way ceremonies, and then the other type of ceremonies that are conducted only during the summer or springtime. So that's how I understood that part with the term traditions. So understanding what are winter teachings and then what are summer or spring teachings on that side.
So Tav, why do you think it's important to have cultural events such as powwows at Newcomb High School?
For me, I think it's what I usually say it's an extension of our classroom. So meaning if you want to host something on campus, you're pretty much showcasing what you're teaching in the classroom. So this is where the parents, the community, and other people from elsewhere can come in and see what we're doing here at Newcomb High School.
What cultural events have you sponsored, and how did those events help the students learn about their culture?
So one of the events that I was working towards was because now we're in the winter season, was the shoe game. But unfortunately, I was told yesterday that we cannot have our shoe game. It was supposed to be scheduled for Friday. So through that, you know, there's a lot of things that could have been taught, especially from a respected elder that was supposed to come in to teach the game on how it's supposed to be played, the stories that are connected to it, the songs that are sung. Because it does a lot of with counting, like mathematics. It does a lot with remembering like different songs, remembering how the game is actually played. So you kind of have to have your mind focused on where that ball is hidden. So that was one event that we held years ago too here at Newcomb, and this year would have been our second year, but it didn't fall through. So of course with Navajo people we have to kind of put the money aside and just use it as a teaching tool, but of course we have to, people will come in and think that, okay, we're gonna use money to play with, you know, but we can't do that here because it's in the school setting. So as far as I remember, it's just the shoe game that we did. The powwow, I know the seniors are usually the ones to host those. And just like little events, like last year we brought in a dance group, not to showcase Navajo dancing, but to understand another tribe's way of dancing and singing, which was from White River, the Apache Crown dancers from that area. And then we also brought in Callie Bennett last year, who sang her songs. And the interesting part about Callie was that she's actually Asian, but she speaks our language. So she was adopted at a young age to where her people, or her foster parents were the ones that brought her in and, you know, taught her the language, and then from there she started singing and she created different albums. So it's a variety of cultures that we could actually represent here, but it's just that we have to make sure that it's in the right season, and to make sure it's appropriate for the school and the community.
Well, that's all the questions we have, Tav. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.